Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the properties of circles. So we're going to start with some key vocabulary. So I started out by drawing a circle on this piece of recycled cardboard, and conveniently, this cardboard had a seam right across the center of it, so I'm going to start with that. So if I go from one side of the circle to the other, the longest segment that I can make that goes straight across the middle is called the diameter. There we go, that's a little easier to see. And if I identify where the center of this is, that's right there. If I were to go only from the center point to anywhere on the outside of the circle, that segment has a different name. It's called a radius. And the relationship between these two segments is that the radius is exactly half the length of the diameter. So I can write the radius is the diameter divided by 2. I can also state, if I know what the radius is and I double it, that would be a way to find the length of the diameter. Okay, a couple of other measurements or values to be aware of. If you know the distance across, so the longest distance across, this one's 22.5 in this case. We just said the radius is going to be half of that. So that's going to be 11.25. Well, these two measurements can be used to find other key information about this shape. So if I know the diameter, I can multiply that value by pi. And that will give me a measure of the distance around the circle, which is called a perimeter. Another name for the perimeter of a circle is the circumference. So if I'm using a calculator, I have a pi button on my calculator, which allows me to calculate that with more precision. Oftentimes, when you're doing problems like this, you would be asked to find the perimeter by using a value of 3.14 for pi. That's rounded, and it depends on the precision of the question that you're being asked to solve. So I'm going to take 22.5 times pi, using my pi button, and that's 70.69. I'll round it to 2 decimal places. So this is centimeters. So that's measuring around. If I were to take a cord and wrap it around that circle, it would measure 70.69 centimeters. Okay, the radius is useful for finding the area, in other words, the surface that is covered. So to find the area of a circle, you need to know the radius, and you're going to square it. is one indication that you're finding an area. And then you're multiplying that by pi. So in this case, I'm going to say pi times 11.25 squared. And I have a squared button, so it looks like this. So my area is 397.61. I'm rounding up, centimeters squared in this case. So notice that when I was doing circumference, it was centimeters. And when I'm calculating area, it is centimeters squared because it is indicating two-dimensional area. Okay, another piece of vocabulary to be aware of is if you are being asked to find the perimeter of half a circle, that's called a semicircle. And as the name semi or half indicates, the perimeter would be half the perimeter, so half of 70.69. The area, if I was doing the area of a semicircle, it would be half the area of the whole circle, so half of 397.61.